This is Find Your Flow, a show about navigating the complexities of life and business through the lens of curiosity. I'm your host, Angelique, and I bring together experts to deliver responsibly curated conversations and perspectives that aim to progress people and the planet. So if you're tired of fad diets and conflicting information about what to eat, or simply just want to understand how your body processes the food you consume, today we're going to be exploring the fascinating yet complicated world of nutrition and metabolism. So understanding how to nourish our bodies in a way that supports both our health and our well-being. And our guest today is a clinical dietitian and founder of Nutrition with Foody, where she focuses on helping women repair their metabolism and achieve weight loss without fad dieting, all while improving their energy and confidence. Mary Claire, thank you so much for joining us. It's so exciting to have you here. So I want to give everyone a quick little snippet, but we've known each other for, my gosh, years and years and years, since childhood.
Yeah, doesn't it feel weird? Like we just kind of graduated high school, maybe like a handful of years ago, but then it's like, no, it's been a little bit longer than that.
It's been a longer, yes. So it was great to reconnect with Mary Claire and see what she's been up to. I follow her Nutrition with Foody page. So definitely we'll have that in the links below, but encourage you all to follow along with some of the content that she's posting. But without further ado, tell us more about you and your journey with this. I mean, this is an awesome initiative. I mean, any woman listening to this, I know myself in reconnecting with just understanding how foods affect our life, our bodies, I mean, all the things. So I love your mission. Break it down for us. What are maybe the top 3 elements to starting on this journey, or what should people know about when it comes to nutrition and metabolism?
So I am a registered dietitian and a nutrition coach. I am a clinical dietitian, so I take care of sick patients at the hospital throughout the day. And going through school, you really don't learn. Your main focus is taking care of sick patients. And I kind of started following different accounts of people who are doing nutrition coaching, and I found it to be like fascinating. It's all nutrition still, but it's just taking it from a different perspective and, treating people, their conditions or their goals differently.
Sure.
3 things that I am very passionate about is making sure that women are eating adequate calories. So from a super young age, we're always told you have to look a certain way, eat these foods if you want to be pretty. If you want a summer body, do this, do that. So we're really taught and have this toxic messaging of being on a diet our whole lives. And our bodies aren't meant to constantly be in this super stressful state that is being in a calorie deficit.
Mm-hmm.
So nourishing your body so that it can run and function properly. It sounds silly and it sounds so basic, but if we're not doing those things, we can't expect to have internally a healthy body.
Absolutely.
So, most diet plans or weight loss programs, apps, whatever it may be, a lot of them tell women eat 1,200 calories, eat 1,300, eat 1,400 calories. And toddlers actually need 1,200 calories to meet their daily goals. We are much larger than them. Yeah. Isn't that shocking?
That's nuts. I never knew that.
That.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're eating 1,200 calories and you're trying to lose weight, you're not supporting your body to do the most basic things, have the energy to think and focus, be able to have the calories and the energy for breathing, pumping your blood, digestion, like super, super basic things that we all take for granted because we don't have to think about it. Our bodies just do that. And if we're not eating enough calories, our metabolism is going to drop because it doesn't want to burn any extra calories because it needs it for those basic bodily functions.
It's interesting for you to even say, we need this energy for our bodies to pump our blood and our hearts to beat and to breathe. Like, of course, these are things that we take for granted.
We really do because we're not telling, we just do it. from the day we were born, these are things that our body does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm really passionate about supporting those functions, because we only get one body in life. We don't get to trade it in for something smaller, healthier, younger, whatever it may be. So
Right.
starting out by nourishing your body is how you repair your metabolism. Most of women have been on diets for years and years. And so our metabolism is skewed, it's messed up. And so
Right.
getting out of that state into a healthier state, you first have to fuel your body. Prioritizing protein is another important thing. A lot of women, there along the way, there was this message: if you eat a lot of protein and you lift weights, you're going to look like a bodybuilder. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily the case. So prioritizing protein, especially first thing in the morning, can set the tone for cravings and energy levels and how you can manage stress even in the afternoon or the evening. So I always say up your protein if you're looking to support your metabolism and to lose weight. A fun fact about protein is just by eating something that is a protein source,
Mm-hmm.
through digestion, absorption, metabolism, we burn more calories than if we were to eat a carbohydrate or a fat source.
Very interesting. I guess it makes sense. It takes our bodies more to break down a steak than it might be to break down,
A piece of bread or something. Yep,
right. Okay.
exactly.
Makes a
And
lot of
it's going to
sense.
keep you feeling full at your mealtime and then,
Right.
hours later as well.
So what are is that you kind of mentioned this a minute ago too, is like when it comes to the word diet, I hate this word. I don't know what else to replace it with because, for me, I've always looked at it more as, well, this is just my eating lifestyle. This is,
Mhm.
I try to eat plant-based or whole, but I also don't want to restrict my body and say, you can't have this, because I know this emotional side of me kicks in and I don't want
Yeah.
to create, these different habits. But what else can we use instead of saying I'm on this new diet and saying this is my way? I don't know. Like, do you ever get that question?
I actually struggle with it too because I'm not teaching people how to be on a diet. So I say, I'm teaching you how to pursue a healthier lifestyle. So you're
Mhm.
pursuing health, you're changing your lifestyle. Those are kind of the words I've been picking up lately. But
Right.
I hate the word diet too, because it implies it's short term, it's
Right.
restrictive. Like you said, it's going to be completely avoiding any like fun foods that emotionally we as humans want to eat and should be able to eat. We're
Totally
not
agree.
robots that can just choose, the healthiest food option. That's not what health and having a good relationship with food is.
Yes. And I think and I've come to learn that too. It's having a good
Mhm.
relationship with food. And, I've tried, I guess what I would call would be the Whole30 diet. So I did the 30 days just to kind of figure out like even some of the healthy foods that don't feel great for me. But I always just got so frustrated because, like you said, it implies short term. It doesn't apply something that seems sustainable. And I remember even back as early as our high school days, girls trying to like look good for the prom. And so they're like, I'm not going to eat carbs for an entire month and a half. And then maybe that worked for that time being, but then it never was something that was sustainable. In fact, I felt like it could have adverse reflex too, effects. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just like it's a frustrating word, and I don't know which direction to go. Is like I think the bigger thing that I'd love to ask you about is maybe some of the ways that you talk to your patients about their relationship with food and how you encourage them to be more accepting of themselves in that space.
Yeah. So I say that your food choices matter, but also your mindset matters. So you were talking about something that is sustainable. So I always ask people, like, when you are pursuing a healthier lifestyle, can you see yourself doing this for the next year, the next
Mhm.
5 years, the next 10 years? If the answer is no, there's some component of that plan that is just not sustainable, not realistic. And short term effort will give you short term results.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if you're just trying to do something for 30, 60, 90 days, and then you're going back to your old habits, that's when you're going to gain the weight back that you just worked so hard to lose.
Right.
So Find something that's sustainable, find something that's realistic that allows you to incorporate what I call fun foods.
Mhm.
So my program, I'm super passionate about what's your non-negotiable food to give up. So for me
Ooh.
personally, that's pizza. I don't want
Yeah.
to live a life where I can never eat pizza again.
Mhm.
So instead of telling myself, in the past, I would have said, oh, you're not eating pizza. Like you're trying to lose this weight, avoid pizza. And that's all I could think about. You're driving down the road and you're like, oh, there's that pizza
Pizza.
place. Yeah. Or you're like, it's Friday and everyone's ordering pizza and like I'm eating a boring salad or whatever it may be.
Right.
So having that all or nothing mindset where you're either all in on your diet or you're not is where it creates that really unhealthy balance because we
Mhm.
should be able to choose foods most of the time that make our body feel the best, that gives us the most energy, that make us feel good, but also the human side. We're not robots. So the human emotional side of, I always say, like on Thanksgiving, we eat dishes that have memories attached to it. Maybe it's your grandma's apple pie recipe,
Right.
or your aunt always makes your favorite stuffing, whatever it may be. There's an emotional connection. And when we try to remove the emotion of food, that's where we feel restricted. We feel really deprived.
Mhm.
So
Almost
it's,
maybe resentful too.
yeah, you just feel like if you indulge in that food that you swore you would never eat, then you
Mhm.
feel guilty. You say you failed.
Yeah.
But really, it was your mindset or the diet plan that failed you. You didn't fail because it was too restrictive.
Right. Right. I mean, I definitely felt that way with Whole30. Those first 2 weeks, if
Mhm.
someone walked by me with bread, I was like mad.
You're like, how dare you get to eat that and I can't?
Right, right. And so it actually it did help me step back and look at my relationship with foods too, where like my non-negotiables, macaroni and cheese and cupcakes. Like
Those are good ones.
I still do Lent, and so I gave up sugar again for Lent, but it's like right as soon as Easter came, I'm like, cupcakes. So I think exactly that, like it brings up that emotional connection to these things. And I was just so excited to get to that, that cupcake at the end of
Yeah.
the time there. But what are, I guess, are there some of these I almost want to call it like a Kickstarter. Are there Kickstarter type diets or lifestyles that can help people get onto something more sustainable? I mean, what are some methods for folks that are like really struggling with this and maybe they hate vegetables? I know my husband, I mean, he is like genetically made up of pizza, I swear to God. But he doesn't like a lot of vegetables. So I try to give him vegetables and cook as much as we can, but like is there something that helps to encourage people on this journey to get started? Is there, I don't know, I guess, what would you recommend for folks in that space?
Yeah. So normally with diets, it's subtracting something. It's what can we eliminate,
Okay.
what can we take away? So I like to reframe it and say, what can you add to your life that's a healthy choice? So
Mm,
start off small. Don't feel like you have to go all in. Maybe it's eating a vegetable for, in your case of your husband, for dinner every night or 3 times a week. And then once you guys get accustomed to 3 times a week, then you're like, all right, we're doing 5 times a week, and then we're
right.
doing 7. It's finding what works for you and what you can achieve. Because when you create those small wins for yourself,
Mm,
you're increasing your confidence and that momentum to keep going and adding things that are going to be a little bit more challenging to
mm,
stick to or accomplish. Have some type of reward that's not food related associated with it. So if your goal is to take a walk 3 times a week. Well, when you achieve that goal, what's something that you want to do? Maybe it's like you want to go get your nails done. You want to go get a massage. You want to buy something new for the house. Whatever it may be, have something that is an incentive to you.
I like that.
And don't feel like whatever you start off with has to be something so extreme. So don't be like, I'm never having pizza again. Give yourself grace and create something that's actually achievable for you so that you don't feel like it's unrealistic to meet that goal you have in mind.
Yeah. And I love how you said you start off with adding things. So it's
Mhm.
not this, you can't have pizza, but it's, we're going to incorporate having vegetables and, maybe we even put, broccoli on our pizza.
Right, exactly. Just find fun ways and creative ways because you do have to be intentional. Like
Yeah.
when you are starting a diet or pursuing a healthier lifestyle, it does take effort. It does take being intentional. It does
Hmm.
take being uncomfortable and making changes. But if we try to do that too much too soon, that's when we fall back on what's comfortable and older habits for us
Yeah.
that didn't previously serve us.
Makes so much sense. So much sense. What I also have a question about too is when you're working with some of your patients or your clients. I mean, how do you measure success? What are those metrics? And I know I bring this up a lot. Maybe it's my business brain talking, but like I guess my questions are around measuring success and holding them accountable.
Yeah. So, for specifically with my coaching clients, we check in weekly and there's biofeedback. So, meaning I ask them how their energy levels are. How are they sleeping? How are they handling stress? How's their mood? Because if all of those things are poor,
Hmm.
but they're seeing weight drop, then there's an imbalance of, is that weight loss worth it if they feel like garbage on the inside?
Right.
They're miserable. So, obviously, seeing the scale go down, tracking food if they're getting more consistent, being able to see that. And I think having those weekly check ins and knowing that you're going to have to explain stuff, and it's never
Mhm.
coming from a judgmental place. I'll
Sure.
never, scold somebody for that's not my style of coaching for their food choices, but it's more let's get curious about why that food choice was chosen or
Mhm.
why you skipped all your workouts. Like what was going on that week
Mhm.
that we need to work on, and how can we prepare for that in the future? Because pursuing a healthier lifestyle, it's never without any type of challenges, struggles, obstacles. It's just learning to persevere and having the tools and strategies to persevere.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. Having those tools and those strategies. And I like how you mentioned the biofeedback. What
Mhm.
is there specific trackers, or I mean, is it just simply asking somebody, how do you feel?
I just do it on a scale of 1 to 5. How
Okay.
are you feeling? How's your energy? If your energy is a 1, it's poor. If it's a 5, you feel, great. You're
Mhm.
not struggling for a nap at 2 p.m. or reaching for your fourth cup of coffee for the day. Those things are important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When it comes to it, 'cause I'm curious, I mean, there's so many of these different like lifestyle diets and things like that out there. And one that comes up, I have a background in teaching yoga and going through the yoga teacher training. We learned about Ayurvedic foods and our doshas. So do you have like, does that ever come up for you, or do people ask you about it? Do you know much about Ayurvedic diets too?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
The coaching program I went through, there was somebody who was pursuing that, but I don't know too much about that
Okay.
topic.
Because I think for people, it's like there's so much out there. There's so much
Mhm.
out there, and there's so many people. I mean, especially now with social media, I'm sure it was different. Heck, even when we were in high school and we didn't have cell phones and social media, it is so much different. There's so much to consume, and I think sometimes people can get really overwhelmed by that because to see change, especially in diet, what would you give it? 3 weeks? Like, what is your timeline for really being able to measure how change happens in diets?
So I think what's really important to realize is when people start weight loss programs or diets or whatever they are, not everybody's starting at the same start. Not everybody
Yeah.
understands what foods are carbohydrates. Not everybody's eating 3 meals a day. Everybody has different budgets. So when you kind of create a one size fits all plan, there's already an uneven playing
Mhm.
field, so to speak.
Yeah.
So to measure, like to make a statement of you'll lose 5 pounds in the first month. I can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
And I also say that because I can give you all the information you need to be successful, but at the end of the day, I'm not the one in your house cooking the meals, prepping it. I'm not grocery shopping for you. So there's a huge responsibility for you to take that information and align your actions with what you say you want your goals are.
Yeah.
I think when you have to be careful when you make promises to people, because not everybody is going to be able to achieve that. And it doesn't mean they failed. Maybe they need to work on their sleep. And if their sleep is messed up and they're not sleeping well, like that affects all types of hormones and how our body runs and everything. And so I can't make promises that I can't, not that I can't deliver, but not everybody can achieve it in the same timeline is what I should say.
I think that's a great answer. That's a great answer because every body is different. And like you said, we're not all starting from this level. We could be at 2, we could be maybe even below that, just starting on that. It just seems like, well, as with everything in our society, I mean, we are very much a quick fix, want the answer right now. Like, how can I get, to where I need to be as quick as possible? Heck, I'm even seeing, what is that recent drug? Is it scormitude? I'm going to butcher the name, but it's the shots that people are getting.
For weight loss?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if we should say the name of the drug, but
yeah. It's a good thing I probably got it wrong anyways.
But I know exactly what you're saying, and there are many concerns with that because it wasn't initially researched for weight loss, and it's affecting your organs. And something that I'm really proud of is I want my clients to be in tune with their body. So I want them to understand when they're feeling hungry, understand when they ate enough and they need to, step away from their plate. Mm-hmm. So if you have a drug that's impacting when you're feeling hungry or how much you can eat, you're not learning that on your own. And once you stop that drug, what's going to happen? You didn't really learn how to manage your eating habits or your portion control, things like that, because the drug was doing it for you.
Behavior change is hard. It's really hard, but
it takes time. And that's kind of goes back to what you were saying. People want fast results, but fast results don't last. So if you do it right and you are patient, you'll get results that will last, because we've all probably lost weight in our lives. But we lose weight, then we gain some back, and then we lose some more, and then we gain some back. So how do we learn to maintain our weight and live a life that we're able to participate in fun memories and live life and have pizza nights or go on vacation and be a little bit more indulgent, but still keep our results and our goals in mind. It's that balance.
I think one of the things that you mentioned that I really liked, and I want to circle back to just the metabolism, specifically women also, but sleep. I mean, there's so many different factors in our lives that I think we don't really understand that they actually correlate. I mean, I know for me, I suck at sleeping. I'll just be honest. It's something I'm forever working on. But I've noticed on the days where I'm not getting as much sleep, I am hungrier throughout the day. I'm tired, so I'm bored snacking. But it's just, I think that just to simplify it, it is just, there's so many factors in like this wheel that we have of our lives that play into, it's not just nutrition, it's sleep, it's your stress. Honestly, I've seen some studies as to how it relates to our community and even spiritual practices. So I think it's just so interesting to look at the full picture of it, but more so specifically with women, because we are so much more complicated sometimes, because it's like we've got these cycles, and then you got to understand your cycle, and then 2 weeks before your cycle, but then 2 weeks after. I mean, there's just so much that plays into that. And so I guess the question I want to ask here now is, what is a simplified way for us to start to understand how metabolisms and cycles all coordinate, and how to meal plan for those specific times in the month?
Yeah, so sleep is a huge problem for us in America. And, you're not alone when you say you struggle with sleep.
Mhm.
And the reason that you're craving and you're eating more throughout the day is because your body's low on energy.
Yeah.
You get your calories get converted into energy. So your body, your brain sending you a message, we need some quick energy. And quick energy is going to come from snacky foods, carbohydrates, high sugar things, cookies, chips, things like that. You're not going to crave cucumber slices or carrot sticks when you are sleep deprived, because your body wants some quick energy to make you feel better. So working on your sleep is huge. Shutting your cell phone off, your computer, emails, that is huge, especially with that blue light that comes through. When we're kids, we all had a bedtime routine. And as adults, we kind of grow out of that. And I think it's like so important. And I think sleep is getting the recognition that it needs this year. I'm hoping more people will focus on sleep. Develop your own sleep routine that works for you, whether it's turning off your cell phone 10 minutes before bed, or, stop scrolling on social media an hour before bed, whatever works for you, but create that time. Maybe you're going to say prayers. Maybe you're going to meditate. Maybe you're going to do some stretches or journaling, like whatever will help you kind of just calm down and like shut off your brain, because we're constantly just stressed and thinking about things throughout the day. But regarding the cycle, yes, we are complex human beings. And I like to joke that we have like a few days a month where we feel like normal.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
but just a few.
Period, then we're, halfway through our cycle. I think a thing that I would like to emphasize is there are days leading up to your cycle that you are going to be hungry, and don't ignore that. That's your body preparing for what it's about to do, menstruate, have a period, stuff like that. So be in tune with your body, lean into it. When you're providing it with nutrient dense foods, you support your hormone health. That is going to cut down and reduce symptoms. I think our generation is learning that, extremely painful period cramps, horrible moods, feeling sad, extreme fatigue, like those things aren't normal, but they've always been normal to us because we didn't know any different.
Yeah.
So your nutrition can play a huge role in managing those symptoms, so that when you do have your period, it's not this horrible, like obnoxious thing that's happening every month.
Yeah, that is something where, like, obviously I've been a woman for 34 years. Like, I'm like, you think you'd get used to it by now, but it's like every month you're like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
But
or
then
you have that day where you cry and you're like, and then your period
Yeah.
comes and you're like, okay, that's why I cried.
Or if you're just, I'm like savage the week before and I'm like, give me everything to eat. I'm a bottomless pit. And I think that one of the podcasts that I had sent you, the author had gone into kind of just like how, almost like she was talking about how to plan activities throughout the month based on your energy levels and your cycle. So she's like, beginning of it, plan all your like girl boss kind of stuff, like your speaking engagements, your big meetings, blah, blah, blah. And just know at the end, like you're just going to need to, relax and be okay relaxing. And not even just relaxing, but just giving your body rest. And I think sometimes when you don't understand that and you're in it, you have to remind yourself like, hey, I'm okay. I'm a little down today. I'm feeling like this. That's acceptable. That is acceptable.
And that just kind of goes back into being in tune with your body. Like our body is constantly sending us messages and feedback. And we're just all so busy and stressed that we don't pay attention to it. Yeah. So if you're feeling a little bit more tired, instead of beating yourself up and trying to cram in, 100 different tasks that day, like cut down what you have to do and give yourself that grace to rest and recover.
Yes.
If you're feeling a little bit hungry, choose those nutrient dense foods in addition to those fun foods, and fuel your body to support you through the next phase.
Yeah. Amen. So I have something that somebody told me once, and it was years ago, but I still think about it. Is it true that when we're sleeping, our metabolism decreases by like 13%? But in the morning, as soon as we drink water, that's the best way to get things kickstarted.
Oh, that's a
Like
good
debunk
statement.
this for me.
I'm not sure the exact percentage of what our metabolism does, but I'm a huge advocate for eating breakfast for everybody, but specifically eating within like an hour of waking up. Because,
Okay.
like you said, once you start eating something, you're kind of like waking up your metabolism and getting the day started.
Yeah.
So I always encourage people before you reach for that cup of coffee. I know there's so many coffee lovers out there. Add breakfast to your coffee. You know,
Not
what
in
can
your
you
coffee, just with your good.
with your coffee? Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Don't put it in your coffee cup. That wouldn't taste good.
Eggs and
But just
coffee.
in addition to your coffee cup, instead of just having coffee in the morning, what can you add? Start small. Maybe a yogurt, a piece of fruit, a piece of toast, whatever it may be, and then kind of expand on that. As I mentioned earlier, how you start your day sets the tone for your cravings, your hunger levels throughout the day. So if you're starting your day with a great healthy breakfast, you'll reduce those cravings. You'll have sustainable energy, blood sugar levels, things like that.
I love it. All right. So what was my last question? I had one last question for you. And that, maybe you kind of summed it up in this last little bit here, but, there was a few things that you said where, one was we're not all starting at the same baseline. Another one was there's so many different things out there for us to try and understand where to get started. But a lot of what I'm hearing is one of the greatest way for you to get started as an individual is to work with somebody like yourself and work one-on-one with somebody, especially a provider that can look at you as an individual and help set forth, kind of some of those goals and plans, or working with you to understand what your body needs individually. So on that note, where can we find you? Where can people get a hold of you? Or what are some other resources that you would point us to?
Yeah, so I think that's a great point that you made is there is so much information out there, especially with social media. There's a lot of people that are putting information out that don't have the education, the certificates, the understanding that this is a science-based profession. So it's well researched. There's evidence for what we recommend. So finding somebody who has some type of credentials or is a registered dietitian, just because somebody lost weight and has successfully kept it off doesn't mean they are qualified to share that information with the mass population, because they could be sharing things that are potentially harmful to yourself.
Like skinny
As we
tea.
said, we are complex human beings. So to figure out what works for you, ask for help. There's nothing wrong with that. If you had an issue with plumbing in your house or electricity, you would go to the expert rather than sitting there and struggling to figure it out. So reach out, ask for help, get the support and accountability, ease some of that frustration that you will have along the journey, because there's going to be like a clear roadmap of what you need to do when you get the support. I am on Facebook, Clare Foody. I have my nutrition page, which you mentioned, Nutrition with Foody. And then Instagram, I am MC Foody 13.
Love it. Well, I so appreciate you coming on, and it was so good to reconnect and be able to share these stories. Like, I know there's going to be a lot of folks. I mean, who doesn't this relate to? I mean, this is one thing that we do on a daily basis is feed ourselves and fuel ourselves.
We have to eat.
We got to eat. And so I definitely encourage people to seek out, when you need help, like you said, ask for help.
Yeah. Don't be ashamed.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll chat soon. Thanks again.